everybody. Welcome to the Hidden Gems podcast. And this is the show where every week we like to talk about a streaming service and share some of the hidden gems on that service that you should check out. And we have been doing this now for 2 years. This week, actually, I think is our 2-year anniversary, which is just amazing. I can't believe it. But I'm folk critic Rachel Wagner. Ryan is here.
Hey, Rachel, it is great to be with you once again. And, thinking about it, it was like, oh, it's going to be for like a couple weeks. And then it's like, 2 weeks turned into 2 years. And I'm so happy to be wrong about, like, not wrong, but like, I'm so happy to have underestimated the time length of something that I've been involved with.
Yeah, me too. I mean, yeah, I thought it was just going to be a couple weeks of finding hidden gems on Disney Plus while theaters were closed for only 2 weeks is what I thought at the time. Oh boy. But I'm glad that it has. It's been a blessing in my life and been a lot of fun. And I'm glad that you've stuck it out this long.
Well,
I keep us every week. I'm like, oh, is he going to get tired of doing this eventually?
oh
But
no,
no.
there's no way on this earth I could, because I believe I'm one of those types that believes that everything happens for a reason. And so as terrible as the whole COVID thing was, and I think we're about as back to normal as we've probably been for a while now, which I'm thankful for that. But despite everything that happened, it led me to you, and a lot of your followers have followed me on my YouTube channel, where I'm at 205 subscribers, which is still an earth-shattering number for me. I know I'm going to get more in the future, but I'm just like, wow, 205 people said, you know what, I like this guy, click. It's the most wonderful thing. And so I'll never get tired of this. This has been so much fun for me, and I want this to continue for 2 more years, longer than that.
Yeah, why not? It's fun. Today we're doing something very special. We've done it a couple of times before. Why don't you tell the audience what we're doing this week?
Rachel has given me 5 of her picks to watch, and so I'm going to be reacting to them. This is something that we do every once in a while. I don't want to say every 6 months or so, but it's sometimes longer than that. But sometimes we reach a point where it's like, I think it's time that we do one of these. It's only on very special occasions. Like she gives me 5, and then I give her 5, because it's some of my favorite episodes to do, because I get to see the stuff that she likes, and she gets to see the stuff that I like, and we cover the bases pretty well, in my opinion.
So the next time that we meet, it'll be 5 movies of your recommendation that I will watch. And yeah, it's always a really fun experience, and chance to get to talk about in more detail these films that we recommend. In this case, now that both of us will have seen instead of just one of us having seen. So yeah, I'm excited. Overall, what do you think of my picks?
I liked a good chunk of them. It was weird, because a lot of your picks are definitely stuff that I would not like. I wouldn't recommend, but stuff that I wouldn't really like go out of my way to see in a normal sense. But in a weird way, they have broadened my horizons. So it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be an interesting discussion, especially one of your picks, but we will cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah. So in you don't have to like, in some of yours, I don't like, and it's just I will not hurt my feelings at all. So don't worry about that.
Well, you have surprisingly liked the choices that I have picked.
Yeah.
You really, the only one that you didn't like was Hard 8, the Paul Thomas Anderson movie that I recommended on one of our first episodes, and really that's the only one where you were like, not a fan. The rest of the time you actually kind of dug, which I think my
even challenging ones like Apocalypto I ended up appreciating, at least.
That shocked me. When I was like, I'm gonna give her a curveball, there's no way, and you were like, no, I actually dug it. I'm like,
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
This super hard R like movie directed by Mel Gibson about ancient Mayans she actually liked. Who would have thunk? That's
Yeah.
why that's why I'm convinced in your movie tastes you are stronger than you realize. That's my
Well, I do feel like I'm not as precious as people pin me down as just because I cover Hallmark movies. They think that I can't handle any mature content and that, that I mean, and I do tend to get a little squeamish when it comes to like murder movies. Like not even horror movies, but just like murder movies aren't my favorite. But uh, but I think I have more taste than people give me credit for.
yeah, and it's and some of the picks that you gave me, like I said, broadened my horizons, and I think gave me more appreciation for the stuff that you like, which I consider a success.
Well, the first one that I suggested for you is called The Cave of the Yellow Dog. And this is on the Tubi. This is on one of our Tubi episodes. I covered it last year for my foreign language movie month. And that's the month where I try to suggest family films in languages other than English so that kids hopefully can get used to reading subtitles. And I just think that's a really good experience. And so I have a lot of fun doing that every November for Family Movie Night. I have Foreign Language Movie Month, and I've been doing that for a long time. So anyway, this was one of my picks the for that month. And what did you think of it?
Um, I didn't love it, but I appreciated it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the appropriate phrase is I respected it more than I liked it for being a movie based out of Mongolia, a country that's not really known for producing a lot of movies that I'm aware of in my limited knowledge. I I certainly did appreciate it because watching it on Tubi, it was a little weird because the footage looked just a tad like grainy, and it was made in 2005, so cameras have come a long way since then. And maybe it's because I was watching it on my 4K TV, but it was like, wow, cameras have come such a long way from this. But it really made me uh, appreciate how this movie got made, and so I have nothing but respect for the director and the actors that's just putting
Yeah.
all of their effort into this.
What didn't you think that little girl was so cute though?
Yeah, I
I mean, it's so adorable.
there were definitely some shots where I was like, oh, they are clearly living away from the city because you see
Yeah.
naked children. That's all.
Oh,
That's
yeah. Well, her and that little dog and their friendship was just to me was so cute. And you're just like, how is this father not giving in to this adorable little girl and this adorable dog? Like, what is wrong?
I'm not even a dog person, and I like this dog, so I
Yeah.
don't know what this father was up to.
And then by the end, he finally, once the dog basically rescues her, the dad finally gives in. The dog.
You know, this movie, and I don't know if this is a weird comparison, but it kind of reminded me of the Disney Old Yeller, like
Mhm.
at least not in terms of the ending, but in terms of the girl in the case of Cave of the Yellow Dog and her dog. I liked that relationship. Whenever they were on screen together, that was when I was the most engaged, if you will.
Mhm. Yeah. I can see that. The summary on IMDb says Nansal, the oldest daughter of a nomadic Mongolian family, finds a small dog and names him Zokor. Her father refuses to let her keep it, believing it will bring the family bad luck and lead wolves to their sheep. Nansal decides to defy her father by hiding her four-legged friend, but as winter approaches and the family prepares to move camps, Zokor is tied to a post by Nansal's father. He is forced to reconsider after the dog protects their youngest child from vultures. So,
One thing that I will say though is that this movie it was even though the footage was a little like grainy for my taste, it was shot
uh-huh.
pretty well. Like Mongolia
Yeah.
looked like a pretty nice place to visit, or at least the Mongolian countryside. It was very green looking. it looked really nice. Like I don't know
Mm.
how stable Mongolia is in terms of if you go there, are you like gonna get like kidnapped or not? It's not really reported on, but I would love to go to Mongolia one day.
Yeah, it does look beautiful. And I mean, this thing, I don't know what the budget was, but it couldn't have been very high. So, um, they worked with, I guess, what they had as far as that. But yeah, they do make just the beautiful mountains and the green of the grass and everything. And I just thought this little girl, Nansal, was just the cutest thing. She was so
Yeah,
adorable.
and I liked the theme that they had of this family kind of living nomadically, living off of the land against the rise of the city life.
Yeah.
It's a clash. It's a story that I've seen before, but I thought it was handled pretty well here. So I guess, like I said, I respected it more
Mm.
than I liked it. I thought it was very well made considering the constraints, if that's
Yeah.
the proper word.
And I think if you're trying to introduce your kids to a movie with subtitles, I feel like this is a pretty good one. I mean, because it's not like super dialogue heavy. So if they're not strong readers, they should be fine, like picking up on what's going on. I don't think it would be too hard. And I just think they'll relate to this little girl and the dog. And so I feel like it's a pretty good choice if you're looking for something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of overall story, it's a pretty simple one.
Simple, yeah.
It's about a child and her dog. Like
Hmm.
everyone on this planet can relate to that in some fashion.
Yeah, yeah. Cool. Good. Well, I'm glad you appreciated it on that one. So then I suggested Love and Monsters. Had you seen this before?
No, it was I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I was thinking it was in that kind of pandemic stuff where it was like
Yeah.
it was thinking about going to theaters, but then oh, it's no longer in there and it went straight to streaming. So
Yeah.
I definitively missed that one.
Yeah. So this movie came out in 2020. It actually ended up getting nominated for an Oscar for visual effects, which I think is really awesome because it did not have the budget of some of those other films nominated. But yeah, it's a film. It's like a post apocalyptic film, but like the most positive version of that I think you could find. And it stars Dylan O'Brien, and he is living underground after this apocalyptic event happened, and he knows that he finds out that he's pretty close to his girlfriend, who's on the shore about 20 miles. And so he decides to go above ground and face off on these kind of post-apocalyptic creatures, these mutated creatures that have come and go and try to find his girlfriend. And along the way, he meets a lot of different characters, like Michael Rooker, who's this vagabond kind of guy. He's great with his daughter, and then also he uh, becomes friends with this robot. One of my favorite scenes. But I really just thought it was wonderful. I feel like it has sort of everything. It's got action. It's an adventure. It's a romance. It's a love story. But so I really enjoyed it. What did you think of it?
I loved this. I had a great time with this.
Yeah.
You know, when I finished watching this, I was like, you know, there's a lot of noise being made about a Last of Us movie getting made. This is probably the best Last of Us movie we're probably ever going to get because I mean, Michael Rooker and his daughter in the movie are pretty much Joel and Ellie. Like you pretty much might as well just named them that and it would have passed just fine.
Well, yeah, and you think of what they did on a $30 million budget is just amazing to me.
Yeah,
The creatures, because they looked good, they looked professional to me at least, and they were very creative designs. It wasn't just your typical kind of monster looking. They looked like these sort of radiated mashups of animals that we know now. So it would be like a frog that was like mutated with a rabbit almost. Like it was just this mutated design. And so I found that like endlessly creative.
Yeah, I love the scene where Dylan O'Brien is being chased by the one worm looking thing, and he finds the grenade,
Yeah.
tosses it in. That made me like, yeah, that was awesome. Like that was so well done. And speaking of Dylan O'Brien, he is really good in this.
Yeah.
I was confusing him for the main kid in Percy Jackson and the Olympians, the Lightning Thief.
Logan Lerman.
Yeah, and it was like, no, these are two completely different people. And so, but Dylan O'Brien was good too. He was in the Maze Runner. That's why I couldn't put the two apart.
Yeah. Yeah, he's great in this. I really enjoyed, and didn't you just love Michael Rooker? So
Yeah,
fun,
like
those little scenes.
I mean, Michael Rooker is just like he's the best. Like
Mhm.
anytime I see him, even in something straight to DVD like The Marine 2, like whenever I see him, it's just like oh hey, Michael Rooker's here. This movie just got 1,000 times better.
Yeah. Yeah. And I loved everything with the robot. Oh, like that
Mavis.
was just so touching. It's great. And I mean, if I was going to nitpick, I do think the sort of the reveal with the pirates at the end
Yeah,
is kind
I
of,
I
but
thought that could have been edited out. I mean, not gonna
yeah,
lie, the
it
crab
was
battle,
predictable.
the crab battle at the end with the yacht, I thought that was a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
that was
When I
good.
was when I was watching that, I was like, well, Michael Matthews has clearly seen a Ray Harryhausen movie more than once. Because this movie reminded me of something like Jason and the Argonauts or the
Hmm.
OG Clash of the Titans, not the 2010 one, the 1981 version,
Yeah.
the superior version.
Yeah. And I feel like this is the perfect date movie.
Yeah, I
You know,
can see that. Hmm.
because it's got action and adventure for the guys it in a lead guy character, but it's got your romance and your sweeter moments and your not that men and women don't like both, but I'm just saying I think it's got something for almost any couple to enjoy.
Absolutely, and the romance between Dylan O'Brien and what's the actress's name, Jessica Henwick, I
Hmm.
really did enjoy. I like
Yeah.
the build up to it, and when it eventually gets there, is like it's here, and then it's like oh, but then it's a whole big angle, and then they work themselves into it, and I thought it was handled pretty well. Like Dylan O'Brien's arc, I thought was the heart of the movie, and it was done very well. He starts out like afraid, and he's like in the bunker with everyone, which talk about relevancy in 2020, like people hiding away from something. Like if like in that way, it's aged like fine wine. But then he's like, all right, I got to get out of here. And so he gets out, and we're pretty much Dylan O'Brien in any situation like that. We're thinking like, oh, we're going to be brave and face off against these monsters. Nope, we would be running from them, or at least I would be.
I would be too. Yeah, but the real sense of community too when he ends up going back home is just so sweet, and so it has a real heart to the film. Yeah.
Hmm.
Hmm. All right. Well, next we're going to talk about Together Together is my next recommendation. This was from last year, and this tells the story of Ed Helms' character Matt, who has decided he wants to start a family. He's tired of waiting to find the right person, and so he gets a surrogate, and she's played by Patty Harrison, and it's about the experience of her having his baby and the friendship that they have together. And I guess that's the thing I appreciated about this movie was you don't get that many stories about platonic friendship, and I feel like I wish we got more. And I really thought that the script was well done and witty and had a lot of really, to me, authentic moments and funny lines, and I really enjoyed it. It was one I saw at Sundance last year, and I just kept enjoying it all through the whole year. So, what did you think of this one?
I enjoyed this as well. It was a movie that came to my local theater, but I guess it was just one of those that I just didn't have the time to see. But
Mhm.
now that I have seen it, I don't know what I was missing because I thought this was very well done. At the end of this, I was thinking to myself, so this is what Andy Bernard did after The Office wrapped up, because this was so totally an Andy Bernard thing to do. If for any of you Office watchers out there.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. But I liked that you had this man who was taking this initiative to have a baby. I feel like you don't see not only characters doing that in movies, but you don't see sort of more sort of maternal men in that are really interested in that in having children. And I don't know. So his character I thought was pretty refreshing.
Yeah, and you were bringing up the whole platonic friendship thing.
Hmm.
I could not agree with you more on that. I've seen so many reviews where it's like two guys who are like really good friends with each other. I've seen so many reviews where it's like I just want them to kiss. Like seriously, like they're looking for this like gay subtext, not that there's anything wrong with that, but
Right.
I've just seen so many reviews where it's like this is so clearly like meant for them to be lovers and it's like not. It's like two
No, that was the best part of the movie is the fact that they didn't go
yeah,
that
it's
way.
like two people just can't be friends without it leading to bedroom
Hmm.
activities. It's
Yeah.
like it's a foreign concept for some people, I guess, but I
Well, and
like
I like that they recognize that they are in each other's life for this really intense period, and then they probably won't be very much after that. They'll
yeah,
see each other maybe occasionally. They'll say, but I think that's true to life as well.
yeah, absolutely. And whatever these two were on screen together, Ed Helms and the actress's name,
Patty Harrison.
Patty Harrison, thank you. I thought they both did a great job. I mean, Ed Helms, other than the vacation movie that he was in, that was not good at all. Like I've enjoyed pretty much all of the stuff that he's been involved with, and I hope that Patty Harrison
Mhm.
he gets more stuff after this because I thought she was really good.
Yeah, and one thing that's interesting is Patty Harrison is a trans actor, and I appreciate the fact that she was just the right person for the role. It didn't have anything, like she was perfect for this part. Absolutely.
Really, I would have had no
I
idea.
I didn't know either. Yeah,
Yeah, it just shows how good an actor she is, I guess.
that's right. So yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I like how they call the baby lamp. I think that's really funny.
Gonna get bullied in school, but I hope because I swear to God, I hope that's short for something.
Well, and then when they're going through all the names, they're like radio. That sounds
Here's my
like,
son radio or
yeah.
my daughter radio. MP3 was already taken.
All right. Well, my next choice for you was I'm saving the big one for the last one.
I see what
So
you're doing there.
yes. So my next choice was Return to Me. And this is a movie that I love that I think does dramedy very well and has the comedy, but then it's also incredibly emotional at times. And it is kind of a bit of a gimmick that the idea that Minnie Driver has David Duchovny's wife's heart. And so they're destined to be together. That heart is always supposed to be with him. So good. But I love this movie. I love the banter between the old men. I think is absolutely hilarious when they're talking about like what's better, Bing Crosby or Frank Sinatra, and the fact that they have a Irish Italian restaurant. I've dreamed of going to one of those ever since I saw this movie.
By the way, the
To have
correct
ravioli with a side of sauerkraut, that's like my dream.
by the way, the correct answer to that debate is Bing Crosby. Like Frank Sinatra's awesome. Let's not get that twisted. But Bing Crosby could not only sing, but he could also dance. So he's two-thirds of the triple threat.
I also love Bonnie Hunt, who's the director of this film. I love her and Jim Belushi with this. They have like 10 kids, this huge family. And I think their scenes are really funny together. But it's also really emotional. I mean, when his wife dies, it's brutal. And when she finds out about that she has his dead wife's heart, I mean, that's also a really emotional scene. I think these two have super good chemistry. I don't know. I love this movie. So I don't know. What did you think of it?
I liked it too. I don't know if I'm becoming a softie in my old age,
Yes.
but
Woohoo.
I really liked this one as well. I was looking it up. David Duchovny had just like left the X Files, and I think it was contentious. I'm not entirely sure. I've been thinking about watching all of the X Files stuff for like the channel, so I'm considering like looking into it. But the story I've always heard was that Duchovny was replaced by Robert Patrick because Duchovny had like creative differences. I'd have to look into it, but he was in the X Files for so long that you don't necessarily associate him with anything else. And so seeing him in this, it was like a breath of fresh air because he's good as Fox Mulder. Let's not get that twisted. But here, he was really good. Like you said, the scene where he finds out his wife died, bro, that was just wow. Like that was just like brutal stuff.
Yeah. And then that dog keeps waiting for her to come back, and
Oh,
and he finally eats the Chinese food with the dog.
you know, these movies are slowly turning me into a dog person, which I know I'll never be.
Yeah, it's really good. What do you think of the old men? Did you think they were funny?
Yes, I did. Shout out to Carol O'Connor. This would be his final movie, and I've loved him in a show called All in the Family, which is a show that would never even see the writer's room, let alone get off the pitch table. But I, my dad introduced me to it, and I just, like I said, it's a show that would never get made today, but it introduced me to the greatness that is Carol O'Connor.
Yeah, Hughes was really lovely in this film. I love the whole scene when he's talking to David Duchovny's character, and yeah, he says, maybe you were always meant to have it with you. And he says, I knew that a heart would have to be special if it was going to find a home.
Yeah,
And
kind of a missed opportunity.
oh,
Kind of a missed opportunity to call him Meathead.
uh, but yeah, I just even there's hardly a scene in this movie that doesn't work for me. I even love the whole scene with the water lady. I think is
Mm.
date the water lady. I think is funny, really funny. Uh, yeah, I love it. I think it's so good. So glad you enjoyed it. All right. Well, the big one. So this one really isn't a hidden gem. It's a classic. It's beloved by many. And so now I'm thinking, since you said there was only one you didn't like, that you didn't like it, but it's all right. That's allowed. I finally got you to watch Clueless. And so Clueless for me is kind of a foundation movie. It came out my freshman year of high school. And so it very much like spoke to me, like the whole scene when she's like, what is it with the way guys dress today? They put on a dirty cap, have their pants on the ground, and because that was how guys were dressing at that time. It was so ridiculous. You could see their whole boxer shorts,
Yeah.
and so it just seems like that really like rang true to me, and I just think it's so funny. I love like scenes like the Haitians. If the government could just haul to the kitchen, rearrange things, then we could totally party with the Haitians. I love that. I love her dad. I couldn't be more proud than if they were based on actual grades.
That was awesome.
I love him. And he's like, what do you think? The death of Sammy Davis Jr. left an opening in the Rat Pack for you?
That was awesome because I hated that dude. Not hate, but like
Yeah.
that dude Christian. I was just like, yeah, Sherry, he's totally not for you, and it didn't work
Did I run into a case of bad lighting?
out.
I love Brittany Murphy. I think she's so wonderful as Ty. I I like uh I Alicia Silverstone, so funny to me. And it's like, you don't understand. This isn't Elia. It's a really important designer. I will totally shoot you in the head.
That
Uh
lack of
I
priorities there, Cher.
I've seen this movie so many times. I love it so much. But it's okay. Like if you didn't like it, that's fine. That's fine with me. But yeah, I love her realization when she she realizes that she loves Josh. And I also love Emma. It's one of my favorite Jane Austen books. And so the fact that they kind of have this modern take on a classic story is sort of fun. But all right. But what did you think?
I really liked it.
Ah!
This movie wore me down. It really did. And you know, what ended up happening was that I was watching this. I was like, this is I'm not sure about this. But then as soon as it started, I'm like, okay, I'm liking this. And it is like it's just a slow-mo of things really working and just clicking and falling into place. And I was just like, yeah, this movie's really good. And I love the part where Cher and Dion are like introducing each other, and Cher is like, our mothers named us after famous singers who now do infomercials. And I'm like, oh, Cher, you just wait for about 2 years. That Celine Dion lady's gonna be real relevant real quick, because this was in '95, Titanic was
Right.
'97. But yeah,
Oh no, but he was talking about Dionne Warwick. That's who they were talking about.
oh,
Who did infomercials for Psychic Network. But
oh,
but yeah, I can see you both.
well,
But yeah, I that's a funny line. I like it when when Ty gets hit on the head and he says it's a concussion. Ask her questions. What's 7 times 7? Something that she knows.
and then she wakes up and puts her head up and is like donk, and like she hits the light. And I'm like, that's not gonna help your case.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, the line about the guys, this he says, so okay, I don't want to be a traitor to my generation and all, but I don't get how guys dress today. I mean, come on, it looks like they just fell out of bed and put on some baggy pants and take their greasy hair, and cover it up with a backwards cap, and like we're expected to swoon. I don't think so. Which was
She's
so
got
true. Like
she's got a bit of
you had
a
to have been there in that era, and that is the way men dressed. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that I love from the '90s: the music, the movies for the most part, the wrestling, the fashion. No, like that just never. I
Yeah.
never understood. It was
The,
one of those things where I guess I just had to be there.
yeah, the guys' fashion. I mean, in this movie was extremely influential as far as female fashion. The the clothes. I mean, it's kind of crazy to me that it wasn't nominated for best costume, because I think we see like contemporary clothes as being somehow easier, but not in this case. And this was really, I mean, the whole short shorts and uh, the look of the short skirts, I should say, look that Cher has with the patterned with the plaid. That became such a huge thing. Everybody was wearing that, and I don't know. I just think it's so funny and so sweet. I Of course it's our first. At least it was my first introduction to Paul Rudd, which is is fun. I mean, he's so charming. I don't know how he looks still the same. Unbelievable.
Yeah, that man is immortal. Like he's hiding the fountain of youth, and he won't tell us where it is. And like when I saw him for the first time, I'm like, that's Paul Rudd. Wow, this guy's been around forever.
Mhm. Yeah,
And
yeah, he's great in it. He's really fun. I also really like um uh oh my gosh, my brain. I really like Donald Faison.
oh yeah,
He's really funny too.
yeah. One of my favorite comedians is named Bill Engvall. He's actually retiring this year, so
Huh?
happy retirement to him. He's earned it. But one of the jokes he had like early on in his career was was a joke about the boyfriends his teenage daughter was going out with, and he would describe the dress of some of them, and he had a joke where like what's up with the pants, these baggy pants? You could hide a cooler from Sears in one of these things.
It's true.
Now I understand the reference.
Well, I one of my favorite scenes in the movie is when they accidentally get on the freeway.
Oh, that
Like,
terrified me because
I,
I'm serviceable on the freeway. I there's a part of me that's still like, oh god, oh man, oh god. But I'm serviceable. When I was learning to drive and getting on the highway, I was frightened out of my mind. So when Dion was on there, I'm like, I know your pain, Dion. God bless.
well, and I love Murray in that scene. He's just like, "Ah, keep your hands on the steering wheel at all times."
and
And
and then the next scene where they get off and Cher is like, then Dion's virginity went
yeah,
from technical to just gone.
right. I mean, because the part of the reason why I find that scene so funny is I remember when that actually happened to me when I was just learning to drive, because I am not the best driver even to this day. I'm like, I'm capable, I guess, but because I have some depth perception problems in my vision. Like I'm just not the best driver. And I remember the first time I went on the freeway, I was with my dad. I think I had gone to work with him at one of his projects. And so we were driving, and then we ended up on the Belt Loop, which is this big circular freeway in DC. And it's really scary. And I just remember a similar thing happening where where I was like, "Ah," and my dad was like, keep your hands on the steering wheel. Oh my God. And I mean, and when I would drive with my mom, she would she would hit the brakes on her side, like imaginary brakes.
Oh yeah, like
And I'm like, you're not inspiring confidence, Mom. but yeah, I really I really love that scene. I think it's so funny. I also think it's cute, the relationship between the two teachers, and Wallace Shawn. He's just perfect to play
yeah,
Mr. Hall.
when I saw him, I'm like, it's inconceivable how many movies this guy has been in.
Yeah, he's like perfect as sort of the crotchety teacher, and uh, and you see Cher, become a better person throughout the course of the story. And I was just talking about this with a friend that Jane Austen's stories are a lot of times kind of only appreciated as romances, which they're brilliant romances, of course. But I would make the argument they are as much coming of age stories as they are romances. Because in that era, there was really no other option for a woman but to get married. That was what you were supposed to do. That's what you did. And so that was their big choice. But if you think especially Emma, which this movie is based on, Emma, you see her grow from being a kind of a petulant teenager who thinks she knows what's best for everybody else in her life, to becoming a more mature woman by the end of the story. And I think you see that here with Cher as she realizes she needs to become a better person. She starts volunteering, even in her funny way.
Mhm.
She becomes the kind of person that that Josh would want to be with, and also that she learns to appreciate her friends for all the different things that they do. The things they add to her life. And I have to say also about Christian, maybe he's a little much, but he was probably the first gay character I ever saw in a movie.
Yeah, it was, you know, I'm a big wrestling fan, and there's this wrestler right now named his name is Ricky Starks, and he is awesome. Like I hope,
Mhm.
like he's only like 23, 24, so the future is bright for him. Whenever I saw Christian on screen, I'm like, oh yeah, that is Ricky Starks. It's like So clearly the influence has been out out there, for lack of a better word.
Yeah. But he was confident and just a different kind of uh, gay character that you would see in the 90s. Like typically there were in the 90s there were a lot of really flaming type of gay characters. They were usually like a BFF. And he's not. Like he's got his own sort of style and cuz you need him to you need there to be some ambiguity so that you so that it would be viable that Cher would be confused, right? So that makes him, I think, a pretty interesting character, and it gives her some really good lines, like that he he had brought all the Tony Curtis films, and anyway, so I just love this movie. I think it is so funny. This is one of my top 20 favorite movies ever. So
While
I'm
we
glad you enjoyed it.
while we are on the subject, I was talking with you about this before we did this, and
Uh-huh.
there was this one thought that just would not leave my head. Like the whole thing is that Cher and Josh end up falling in love with each other. However, Cher and Josh in this movie are technically brother and sister, like
They're
stepbrother.
ex stepbrother and sister. So her dad was married to his mom for, they don't say exactly how long, but it was hardly anything. And it was like 5 years ago. They was barely married to my he was barely married to your mom, and that was like 5 years ago. So they're not step brother sister anymore, but he just kind of hangs around the house. And in the original book, in Emma, her sister is married to Mr. Knightley's brother. So that's why they end up spending a ton of time together. And there's a line in the book where she says, "It's not improper for us to dance. We're not brother and sister, are we?" And then Mr. Knightley says, "No, indeed, we're not." So that is kind of a dynamic in the book, but they decided to go with step siblings, and I get that. I've heard that a lot of people kind of think that's too much, and I can understand that. But yeah, that's what it is.
Oh, maybe I'm just not learned it enough in the Jane Austen stuff yet. I am thinking about diving into it, but maybe I was just overthinking it. But it just seemed weird. I'm like, wait a minute, these two were related, even if for like a minute. This just seems bizarre to me. But maybe it's just
No,
something.
I've heard that from a lot of other people. You're not alone. And maybe they should have just made them like friends instead of, that he was just a family friend instead of being an ex stepbrother. But I can see that. But but anyway, that's what they did. So if you were gonna rank these 5 movies, how would you rank them?
I'd say Love and Monsters, Clueless, Return to Me. What was the fourth?
Together.
Oh, Together, Return to Me, then Cave of the Yellow Dog.
Cool. Good. Great. I'm glad you enjoyed my picks. I think it was pretty fun. I probably leaned a little too much into the rom-com without really realizing it, but I'm glad you enjoyed the films.
I'm always interested to step outside my comfort zone and see what else is out there. I've been trying to do that a lot more lately because
Yeah.
that was one of my New Year's resolutions. That's why I entered one 5K this year, and I'm entering another one at Easter. So it's all about like exploring new genres, if you will, because I want to be a more well-rounded critic if I want to start doing this seriously. And I thought I have been, but like seriously enough to impress the banana meter people and be noticed by others. That's what I want to do. So this was a good test for me, and I
Yeah.
am happy to say that I enjoyed about 90% of the stuff that you recommended to me.
I can't ask for more than that. And and I feel like it's good that you've crossed Clueless off your list.
Yeah.
Yeah. You should do, and I finally watched Clueless.
Yeah,
I feel like video.
I will certainly do that.
Yeah, I think that would be good. All right, well, very good. So we'll look forward to getting your recommendations. I'm sure it'll be really different, but it's going to be fun. And we are not going to have Hidden Gems next week because I'm going to be traveling. And and then it'll give me 2 weeks to watch your picks, and that'll be really fun.
Very good.
So, Ryan, where can people find you?
They can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd at RyanCam20. Then there is, of course, my YouTube channel, which is just called Ryan Cam. We're recording this on a Sunday, which means I finally watched video for Total Recall, the original 1990 version with the Arnold has just dropped. That movie was so good. I miss Paul Verhoeven directing sci-fi. He was just ahead of his time. And then I'm going to be dropping a Twilight Zone vlog for the episode called The Lateness of the Hour, which is the beginning of what is called in the Twilight Zone universe as the videotape era. To make a long story short, CBS wanted Rod Serling to cut costs, even though the Twilight Zone was the most popular show on television. But that's something I'll talk about in the episode itself. Then Jacob and I will be dropping another episode of the Life in the Movies podcast, where we're going to be beginning reviewing every episode of Daredevil season 1 since it's now on Disney Plus. And that's going to be a lot of fun because I've seen it, he hasn't. So it's going to be really fun to hear his thoughts. And then I'll be covering some new releases when they do come out, and all of that. It's going to be a great time.
That sounds really fun. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. And on my channel, I am finishing up this week, finishing up Jane Austen month. I've actually been doing it for 6 weeks with my review of the 2020 Emma. So that will be a fun one when you compare it to our discussion of Clueless. And I did the 1996 Emma the week before. So I've had kind of 3 discussions about Emma in 2 weeks. And I also reviewed Clueless for Family Movie Night for Teen Movie Month a couple of years ago. So you want to check that out as well. And I've reviewed Return to Me. That was actually one of the very first reviews that I've ever done on the channel, was Return to Me. So that's fun. And yeah, so definitely check out all of my reviews. We'll put a link to all of our Hidden Gems episodes. And check out the Hallmarkies podcast. We did a whole episode on Hallmarkies podcast of comparing every single version of Emma, including Clueless. That was really fun. I'll put a link down to that as well. So take a look. And thanks so much, Ryan. Really appreciate you watching my picks. And that was fun. And please like this video. Please subscribe to the channel. If you're listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. We appreciate it so, so, so much. And if you are watching on YouTube, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And we also have our Patreon group and merch store. So check all of that out. And thanks so much. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye.
Bye.